Hey, Shona.
Hey, welcome
to
session 3.
Sculpting with Shona.
Before we start, I just want to say a huge thank you to Di Hart. She's here unpaid, just from the love of her heart. And Joe, who's behind the camera over there. Thank you, Joe. Joe's from Online Video. So
video specialist, actually.
Yeah, so
we don't get to see his face.
No, but he does great work.
Yeah.
And Zen, of course, is behind there. But Joe's been volunteering all his time, and I really appreciate it. It's fantastic. So where are we at today?
So what are we going to cover this week? We're going to deal with some questions from last week.
Yep.
For those who didn't do or haven't seen the water-based clay class that we did.
Sure.
That we've had some questions already, which is fantastic. In fact, if you've got any other questions at all that you'd like us to answer live today, get online now.
Yep.
And we're watching the feed, so watching the questions coming through. So, yeah, good idea too. Yeah. So I think, shall I just go through the questions so you can answer?
Good idea.
Can
I just tell you guys, in case you need it, I found that on the floor. Coming over.
Won't help.
Just in case it's necessary.
So Rose said something interesting happened. She said her piece has slumped. Why?
Her
water-based clay piece has slumped. What does she mean by slumped?
Slumped will mean that it, so remember we were talking about the neck, and when you have a larger piece on top, and if you don't have armature here or your armature's not strong enough, it's going to fold, the head will fold over.
So it's the weight of the clay.
The weight of the clay will come down. So either fall over or slump down because of the water content in it. So it's probably because of that, the armature's not strong enough, or it could be that the clay is too wet.
Is that so? How do you remedy that? Put the head
on? No. Actually, funny you should say that, but no, you don't use the hairdryer.
Okay.
All you have to do is leave it out for a couple of hours. So don't put plastic around it. Keep an eye on it.
Would it be partly also because perhaps too much water being sprayed on it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's too much water, so it's starting to slump. So there's either armature, excuse me, isn't strong enough, or there's too much. It's too wet. So it's going to fall.
Okay, so apart from waiting for the clay to dry, is there anything else that you could look at or think about when you were creating the armature that, like Rose may have not made it strong enough?
There's different gauges. There's 5 different gauges of armature. So it's all quite, depending on the size of the piece, depending on the protruding, like this is a thin piece here. Mm-hmm. So you need to use it so it's quite stable, and I've attached that to the base. Sometimes you don't need to. So it's really just the size of the armature or the amount of the armature or the clay. And if you keep it in a warmish room, it'll dry out the clay. Remember we were talking about different stages of the clay. So when the clay is really wet, I've left this out for a few hours. So you can see it's a little bit firmer. It's not quite as squishy.
It's quite cold.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But this wasn't ready for me to finish because doing any of the detail pieces, I need it to be harder. So you can see I've got a general face for the baby and Mother Mary, but it's still too soft to really smooth. Or if I started smoothing now, it's just going to end up being a real glug of clay.
Mm. So would it be more likely that the slumping is more likely to occur when the temperature is cooler? Like the daytime temperatures can have, it's cool in here. Some people don't have warm houses, or their house might be too warm.
Yeah.
It'll dry out faster. So
it is. In summer you won't have that sort of issue.
So how long will the clay last?
That would stay like that. In winter like this, it would probably stay there for maybe 3 weeks before it starts really drying, and then probably another couple of weeks until it starts turning.
So if you
touched it, it'll if you haven't spritzed it,
sure. And you'll know that it's starting to dry. Will you start to see cracks?
Yes,
you will.
you'll start to see cracks, and it'll be dusty. You know, clay on my hand. It's like all here is dusty. Yeah.
It's the difference between oil-based and water-based.
Yeah,
Water-based
exactly.
clay, it's like, I think we talked about it last week, the different, you use it for different products or different pieces.
Yeah.
But it is a lot messier.
It is messier. So if you've got a studio or an apartment or anything like that, if you don't mind using it, then you're better using an oil-based clay. This is great though for portraits. And just on portraits, I want to say that we will, during this course in the future, if people are interested in learning about portrait,
My favourite.
we will cover that, eyes, nose, mouth, those sort of things. And we'll also cover
We're going to do
figurative, because I know people are
like creative
figurative.
pieces.
Yeah.
Human.
So we're just going to keep going because there's a lot to do
A
here.
lot to cover.
I think there was a question too, Di, because we got some messages as well.
Just before you finish though, I think
sure.
one of the other things that Rose was asking was, at what stage would you start again? If it's slumped, would you start again, or would you just try and keep going?
It depends, I guess, if it's the armature. If you think it's the armature, if you've dried it out, that's the best way to tell. If you've dried it out a bit, so it's like hardish, then I would, and it's okay, like you bring it up and it's okay, then that would be fine. If it still slumps, even when it's drier, it means your armature is bending. It's not. So that really is a shortcut to know what's wrong with it.
I hope that helped you, Rose.
Yeah.
Don't
Thanks
give up.
for the question.
Keep going. It's a good question. Actually, it's a very good question. We had a question from Bob.
Yes,
Bob,
we did.
actually.
In
Bob
fact, just before Bob, I just wanted to cover that. Sorry, Bob, but this is. You really want, before you mould it, which we're going to go into, you want it to be what they call leather hard. So you can feel that, guys. See how that doesn't, it's not like this. You don't push in. It's a little bit drier than that, and that's when you mould it, because then you can use, smoothing tools and stuff. So we might catch up with that next session.
May finish it off.
Yeah.
Today, maybe. Okay, so the other question we wanted to get answered, because it will have an impact on everybody this week, is Bob said, I don't have a 3D piece to copy.
Yeah.
Can I use a photo?
Yeah. I remember, I think, answering Bob, but the reason we chose a 3D piece is there's some things that you can only learn when you've got a model that's 3D. That's not only, but much easier to learn, and you're following the model around.
And a photo is really only two-dimensional.
It is two-dimensional.
That's the main reason.
But a lot of people like sculpting just out of their imagination.
That's
wonderful.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was really a start place. Then you can do it out of your imagination, which is wonderful. But most imaginings are based on something also. So you, for instance, a lot of monsters and things are based on the human form or animal form. So if you follow those, and where you can, get as many photos. So if it's a living being, or I think in Bob's case it was a crocodile or alligator, get photos wherever you can.
You mean of different positions with that?
Different positions. So side, front, the different planes, and as close as you can to the same position. That would be.
So Pinterest is already good for them.
It's great.
Yeah. Instagram. Anything on the website you find interesting.
Pinterest is great because you just put in crocodile or whatever, and it comes up
photos.
Crocodile sculptures or whatever.
We did have Leanne post some photos of a work in progress.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was great.
I saw that. I was very impressed with that, actually. What I loved about it was it had the feeling of what they were trying to do. Because when you're copying something, you don't necessarily want to copy it in exact detail. The biggest thing, again, is to get that flow, that feeling of the piece. And the piece sheet they put up had a real, jovial,
fun atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
So we are going to do tonight's armatures and armatures, but we were going to have a little look at some of the critiquing. We're going to critique our work, your work. your work.
Yes.
Am I going to critique it? No, you're going to.
I think what Martine said to me once was, well, not once, more than once, was don't be precious about your work. Because what she was meaning was, even when you've got it at this stage, a lot of people, they want to smooth it to see what it's going to look like. They're racing to the end, which is totally understandable. But at this stage, the detail, you don't do the detail until right at the end.
So get the shape first.
Get the shape, make sure your planes are right from each angle.
Whoa.
From each angle, so you're taking it round and round, making sure that it's the same or similar, it's got the flow. And if I was critiquing this, there's a few things I can see already that I would want to change.
Can we close up on that? Great.
So immediately I will draw the line down Mary's face, making sure, and the line of the baby, Jesus, to make sure that I have the angles correct.
So last week, for those who haven't watched last week's lesson, we talked about the clock.
We did.
So that's one of the things, that you're just drawing your angles so that you can get using
the
clock.
Using the clock. And especially down your plane, so your centre plane. And you can see Mary's eyes are about halfway down. So I'm just going to check that. And that's about halfway, probably a little bit higher than half, but about halfway. So you're double checking all your points. This, as I was saying, so here's a piece here, part of her veil. I can see the flow of that. It sort of stops there, so I'm just going to add that in so that it flows down.
So critiquing is really just using that same thing we talked about last week again, is like seeing, just looking and seeing. Our brain tells us we see something, but if you stop and look and slow down that looking part.
Exactly, and you don't have to see. So at this stage, I wouldn't even be looking at the whole sculpture and the whole sculpture. I would be looking at particular angles. So, here's an angle here, here's an angle here.
So we're mimicking.
You're looking at angles, and you're looking at specific geometric shapes and things like that in the clock, rather than like I can see Mary's face is smaller.
Does it matter though? Are we talking about? No.
And that's exactly what I was saying. As long as you've got the flow, this Mary has actually got more of a, I think I was saying to you before, an Eastern look to her. Whereas for me, I want one that's going to be more an English or European face. The same with the baby. There's a different look. So it's important to put your own stuff into the work. So you're not wanting to create it exactly for anything you sculpt, but you want to make sure the flow's in.
So before you start getting onto the real detail, like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, you need to make sure that everything, the angles are as close as they can be, because that is what will give it the balance. We call it
Absolutely,
balance.
And you'll just be wasting your time on detail. I could be doing the detail, but if this is wrong or this is wrong, then the detail is going to be. So a good thing to do is to go to the gallery, or Auckland Art Gallery, or anywhere that there's sculpture, and just go and critique, have a look at it and go, oh, okay. So it's not criticising it, but it is learning to see and it's learning to observe and say, yeah, that's right, that doesn't look right to me, or the head's too big for me, or,
proportions. You see a lot of European sculpting.
Yeah. And some sculptors will do, like, for instance, in the 1800s, they'd do a bigger head for a thinker. So anyone with a bigger head would be someone who was known for, like Einstein or someone like that. So it was represented with a bigger head.
Because Rodin, the dancer, the foot is massive.
Yeah.
And I thought, when I saw it, I thought, oh my goodness, that's a really big foot for what I consider to be quite a delicate. But
that's right. But it's not about judging it that, oh my goodness, his foot's too big. But it is about, oh, his foot's big. What does that mean? Where has that come from? Yeah, proportion, and really just notice what you notice about it. Thank you, Amanda. That's something she tells me to do all the time. Notice what you notice.
It is, you can get quite caught up in, it's whether you call it critiquing or just observing. I think the observation process in any art form, but particularly in sculpture, is really intense. Yeah. Can be quite intense. So you end up looking and looking, and then you can end up looking so long that you can't see.
Yeah, and that is absolutely right. So what you should do every 20 minutes at least, get up, you know, the ad, spray and walk away. Don't spray,
no.
But walk away. just walk away for like 2 minutes, and it's good to actually go to from a distance, go and have a look from that distance. Walk around it, you know, get perspective on it. You know, when you're sitting here, you'll be turning it anyway, but go over there and have a look. It looks different from different angles. Another really good thing is using a mirror. So you put a mirror up and you turn it in front of the mirror so it's reflected in the mirror. You'll see different
like
sides of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Selfie. So so that's another really good thing. But get up, walk away. And if the sculpt's not going well, because I have that, as you know, I had 2 bad days of sculpting last week. I don't know what happened. If it's not going well, forget it. Move away because sometimes you think
you just can't do it. Okay. So, did we have any other questions coming through we needed to answer? I think, guys. Yep. Just okay. So, critiquing the work. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about is moulding, because I think the idea was that you're going to finish this piece eventually, so that next week we're going to start looking at how to mould.
Yeah. And when we go into, for instance, like portraiture, which we're going to, there's lots of tricks like with the eyes. This is sort of out there, but with the eyes as an example, see how I've made these eyes quite deep? Those would tend to reflect a brown-eyed person. So the deeper you go, the darker you go, the darker the eyes. So when you're doing a portrait of someone, if they've got brown eyes, you dig in deep. There's lots of different ways of doing eyes, which we'll explain. But I just wanted to mention, because we were talking about shadow and shadow digging. If you want, somewhere like this, you can see it's
we deflect the light, or make the light reflect.
Yeah.
Were you going to give away the product this week?
We are.
And it's going to be some clay.
We are. We're going to give away some oil-based clay, which we're going to deal with. Sorry, I missed your question, Di, just on the mould. So we will mould this later. What we'll probably do, though, is not do it live, because it's quite a process. We're probably better. Are we, Zen?
I think we're going to shoot a how-to video, so that people can watch it, and then we can have some discussion after about fan questions. And also because a lot of people won't, for whatever reasons, don't want to mould their product, their piece. They might just want to keep it as it is.
Yep.
And maybe they might want somebody to, they don't have the facilities, they might want somebody to do a mould for them. Well, sculpting and moulding suppliers can actually do that. They actually offer that as a service, don't you?
And Zen takes care of that. Don't you, Zen?
The opportunity.
So he'll quote, obviously, but it depends on the size of it and the complications of it.
But it would be, if you create a great piece, it would be a great to have it so that it's eternal.
Well, for instance, as we will talk about, I can cast that in glass, I can cast it in
Jesmonite, stone, all the different products. The polyoptic that we did with the pier.
Yeah, exactly. It just gives you, it's limitless.
Okay, so are you going to do any more on that piece tonight? Or
not tonight. We'll do it.
Okay.
We're going to concentrate on.
So now you are going to start talking about creating an animal armature from scratch.
Yes.
Because you can buy them already made.
Yeah. So that's a bigger one.
Yeah.
And then you've got a baby. But for instance, no, we'll do this first.
Right.
So we've got 4 pieces of number 2 armature. So this is 907B.
Does number 2 armature's fine, we don't need to know the detail.
No, but they would if they needed to order it.
Oh, do they? Right, okay. But they can inquire, they can just ask.
Yeah, that's true. So we take 4 of these, and we make them the same length. So they're about 30 centimetres for this one. And we get 4 wrapping wires, about 25 centimetres. That's what we used. And then we take 2 of them and we go down. Where's your little ruler?
My little ruler is right there.
So about a third of the way, and a third of the way. So we'll start here and we just wrap one.
So you're creating the legs, the arms and the body.
What we're doing initially is we're just turning it to so that it's got the it's got the midriff, if you like, the middle part.
The belly.
Yep, the belly. So this is not holding very well.
Can I hold it for you?
Yes, please. Can you turn that as I hold?
Cool.
No, see that doesn't want to. Okay. No, it's got to be, sorry. So you need to do it right up the top. You want that quite
tight?
Quite tight, yeah. That's the longer part. And then we do it again here.
Am I holding something?
Yep.
That piece?
Yeah, and that goes round.
Whoops, wrong way.
Yeah. No, you've got to be right up. See how you have it down there? You must out. It's got to be right. I do, but it needs to be right up the top like that. Okay, whoop, because otherwise his legs are going to.
Oh, I get it. Not a great assistant today.
Disappears. So you get it right up here and twist it.
It's not that difficult. It's just
it's not that difficult.
No, it's just that you're being doing this. There are choices. You can buy one, but it's actually you don't need to buy them when if you learn how to do it yourself. It's
exactly
quite
right.
Simple.
Yep. So you've got 2 bits of wire that are joined like this. It's still not quite round.
See, lucky it's you because you're much stronger.
And then you do it with your other piece. I don't know about these pliers. Should go, no sense grabbing one of them. And you do the same with this piece.
We could have music playing while we're doing. We actually did talk about music last week, and our music of choice was unlike Brad Pitt, who likes to play the Everly Brothers. Yours is Mozart. No, mine's Mozart. Yours is classical. Opera.
I think I'm just going to do that like that. Doesn't actually matter that much.
It's really just to give an idea of dimensions, so there's about 30, depending upon the piece, the size that you actually want to create.
Yes, exactly.
So we're working on, these are Lily, these little pussycats along the front here are pieces that Shona's created. And so they would be, for that size, you'd be working on 30 centimetres pieces, 4 pieces of 30 centimetres, and then the same of the lighter wire.
So then you've got your 2 bits. For some reason that's not. You've got your 2 bits like this, which are your legs. So here's your, if you like, it looks like that.
One side.
Yeah.
And then the other side.
Then you're going to join these together. Wrap the neck. So that's the tail or the head.
So that's where the 3 go into 2.
Yep. And same down here. The tail. It's easier doing it with my hand than it was doing it with
the pliers.
Those pliers are too different.
So now it's a base, the torso,
so now
the
you've
spine.
got the torso, the legs, and the tail. Okay. So it depends what sort of animal it is that you're wanting. You know, is it a dog? Is it a cat? You can also, if you want it flat, you can
create the feet.
Yeah, just the very end.
And so that's because we're talking about a freestyle. This is called a freestyle armature, as opposed to here, we've got a fixed armature.
Yeah.
And the fixed armature is if you're working on a bigger piece and you want to have it more stable.
Yes.
And this one, actually you can buy these and they can move, so you can have more
That's
movement.
generally for a horse.
Yeah. So a much bigger piece.
Here's one here, which is a dog. So it's been based using the same
Bojangles? This is Bojangles.
Yes, it's a smaller Bojangles.
Very cool.
And that's been used with the same sort of armature, just made. So, yeah.
So what's important now, at this point, we know we're going to create a cat, for instance. We're saying we're creating a cat.
Yeah.
And so in terms of pose, at what point do we start talking about pose? How important is that?
Pose is really important. So if you're going to do a dog or a cat, an animal, look for what it is that brings the emotion out.
Leanne asked, Deb and I had trouble with the size of the armature. How do you work out the right size when copying an animal?
The right size as in how big it is. Well, it's the same sort of thing. So if I was doing Lily...
No, because they said they made the legs too short and the body too long.
Okay, those dimensions that I just gave you are the dimensions really for an armature. So the legs should be correct as far as the dog. But if you're doing a sausage dog, you know that it's going to be smaller legs. But you can still do the same process, but you chop the legs smaller.
So if you haven't made, I think maybe Leanne's saying, what about the fact that the legs are too short or too long? What can you do if you realise once you haven't got your... Basically, it's proportion, isn't it? So if you look at how big a piece you want to create, and then you realise I've made it too small, would you add the wire on, or would you start again?
I would probably start again, but you could add the wire on.
And before you get too far, can you just show the camera what you've made so far, and just explain what the head is or tail?
Oh, you mean you can't tell? So this is I don't know if it was something better, but let's say it could be a dog or it could be a cat. So you've got the tail here. Now sometimes the tail needs to be thinner than that. So in which case don't take that wire up. And I think we're just about to say this. This is quite a big armature, so it would be bigger than say Lily there, mostly because of the thickness of here and here
to ride it right around. So usually what you'd say, you don't need to have the thick wire and the tail.
So for these ones what I did was I just used all thinner wire because it was enough. So I used, that one's the thicker wire too.
The legs are thin.
But yeah, they're the same, and then I wrap it around. But if you're doing an armature, just to use exactly the same length and everything that I said, the 30 centimetre, but use 8 of these. So you're doubling it. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean?
So you don't need to have the thick. You can effectively just creating the same effect.
Exactly. I mean, you're doing really big, and you'll be doing
16 of those.
Exactly.
Right, the thin wire. So you don't need to always have the thick wire. You can create it by doubling up on the thin wire.
Absolutely, and I've done that with these actually.
It's important to have strength in the legs.
It is, because otherwise it's not going to. If it's lying down or whatever. But
so in creating the piece that you're working on, on a free flow, as we call free flow as opposed to fixed.
Yeah.
The pose is really important from the start.
Vital, yeah. You've got to know what you're doing. So I'm just wrapping the legs.
And the reason you do that is
the clay will stick.
Stay with it here. We did the same process with water-based clay, didn't we?
We did, yeah. So just for your armature though, so you do that for each leg. As an example, I don't want that tail that thick. So I'm going to
undo it and just cut it off.
Exactly.
You need to have great tools for this, don't you?
You do. These
okay, maybe these were...
No, a bit bigger, I think, actually.
Just for the bigger, but those ones there you've got.
Yeah.
and they're really easily accessed. You've got plenty here at Zen has plenty at Sculpt and Moulding Supplies.
So what I would do in that circumstance is I'd probably bend that over for the body, so you can cut it, but I'd just bend it.
If you cut it off,
yeah, you can cut it off.
Cut it off, but it's actually going to give it a bit more stability and a bit more strength.
Yeah, well, it's the middle part is quite
strong,
big anyway, and then the tail, you see, and then you can just straighten that if you want to, or you wouldn't have done it.
So answering Leanne's question about if you make a mistake, you can correct your armature.
You can correct a lot. I mean, obviously, if it's too big, you can chop it.
How important is the how far together you wind the wire around?
Well, if you don't wind it tight enough, it's going to get in your way all the time. You won't be able to get a thin
piece of clay onto that.
No,
and it'll sit out and annoy you.
So in that circumstance, and I'd probably do one around the tail there.
So you can just you could just use this, and it's because this is really quite pliable, even for somebody who's quite weak.
It's quite good, as you said, to use these for the legs, but certainly. So I mean, it looks, it's a homemade armature. It's not a purchased one. But if you do it more and more, you get better and better at it.
So coming back to the pose again, how important is the detail of the pose? Like, for instance, to bend the elbows.
Really important. So when you've got armature like this, so I'm wanting to bend this, really important.
Put it down on the ground, please, Shona. I can't show what you're doing.
Really important to bend it. Put your fingers where you want the bend, and then hold it and bend it. So it's really important to have sharp angles for the, elbows aren't round.
No. So because if you look in the little pussycat with a ball here, there's points, you can see the joints, his elbows.
Yeah.
And the feet, the paws, the feet. Cats have paws.
The paws, and so it's important to look
at the back leg.
Yeah, at a leg, and for instance, so
it's actually understanding a bit of
anatomy,
isn't it? Yeah.
Or not necessarily even understanding it, but certainly
being able to see it,
watching it,
observing
it.
What we talk
about. We just did these 3 little lilies as a bit of a.
So to get the clay onto the armature, same method as when you're using water-based clay, or different methods?
If you're doing a small cat like this, or something that isn't this
size.
I'm trying to see what it is. I mean, this has got definite shape to it. Like this isn't a cat with a lot of hair. So there's a couple of this is a skinny little Burmese.
Her name's Lily.
Yeah, Lily. She's a nightmare.
She's lovely.
That's why she's called Lily, don't you?
No.
Well, lilies are poisonous to cats.
Are they?
Yeah, you shouldn't have.
I had
lilies
in
your house.
my house with my cat.
They're poisonous to cats, and so's my Lily. They won't have her in a cattery because she's just so rough.
She's a lovely girl, really.
Anyway,
the shape you were talking about, the shape of
so you can watch the cats, and you can see there's different. This is the stretch. So any extension or tension or flow of the body makes a good sculpture.
And being able to capture that is what?
Moments. Yeah. Capture moments and
movement. As opposed to somebody I would just start out thinking I'd just do a cat, as we talked about doing trees. What is a tree? Everybody's got a different idea.
Yes.
But if you have an idea about what you want it to, what position is the simple way of looking at it, you want it to be.
Pose is vital. I remember Martine saying to me, you may as well just forget it unless you've got a good pose, because a pose is what
evokes the emotion.
It does evoke the emotion, yeah. And with this, I've got filthy hands now.
From the wire.
Yeah.
There's no clean thing about sculpting, is there? We actually have talked about other types of amateurs previously as well.
Yes.
And one of the Sienna's laughing at me. I don't know
he just
why.
does that. It's just him.
Is it amateurs?
Yeah.
We're a couple of amateurs.
If you're an amateur at Armature, yeah.
I'm an amateur at Armature, for sure. What I use for a portrait in one of my very early pieces.
Yes.
2 polystyrene.
Can you bring it over?
Balls. Not very old.
So you use one for here, I gather?
One for the base, and one for the head.
Excellent.
But I haven't put any wire in
No. But you use foam polystyrene balls in there. And so I gather so it's lighter.
Yep, very.
So one of the benefits, it's lighter. Another benefit is you don't use anywhere near as much clay. So, one of those would go...
Because I'm covering the balls as opposed to providing
the whole
internal.
Yeah. So you didn't use armatures for the ears. What you can do is, if you want a little...
You could do it on the little lily piece there because it's the same, isn't it?
So for Lily's ear, which I can see is... It's not the... this is really if you've started sculpting something and it's gone beyond what you thought it would be like, you can add. Sorry, Alex. Alex has been doing my all my bronzes, and she would yell at me for that. But you can, if you're sneaky, do something and actually bend it in the shape of an ear. Actually, maybe a little bit more. Didn't do that so well. And bend it in the middle, and then we can put that in.
So even though it's not attached to the main,
it's not attached to the main,
but it just gives the ear. It will give an ear the clay something to adhere to.
It will,
and it will hold it stronger. So when it comes to moulding it,
So you need to bend. Can you see it in there? Yeah. So I put it in there, and then it allows you to
build around it,
so it will hold much more so than without anything in there. So that's a really good thing to be able to do, and then you just cover it up with a little bit.
So the different types of clay you've got here tonight.
Yes.
You've got it's all oil based, but one's soft, one's firm, one's medium, you can have different types of clay.
Yeah.
Why would you use one or the other?
Well, some of the techniques that we use will tell us which clay to use. So, for instance, these are all quite soft. These are all I've done soft. But if I was doing this one here is hard. So if I was doing
it's like that. That's
hard. So if I was wanting to do Lily's eye. Don't know if you can see. It's the same colour that allows me to go in with a tool.
So talking about tools, this is where you really do, when you're working on small pieces, the tools that you have really can quite help or not.
Hugely. So it's easy to do it. So you can see the slit, I don't know if you can, but the slit in the eyes, but it holds. So it's much better than, say, on the soft part where it's very hard to actually get a clean line.
So if the clay is too hard, like for instance, this is really hard. If the clay is too hard to work with, and if just on the basis of starting to do the coil process on the amateur, if it's too hard, what would you do? Amateur. Or the amateur again? Did I? I'm sorry.
Oh, the amateur or the amateur.
That's an amateur move.
Right. Thank you, Joseph.
So, as an example, perhaps easier to show it on a big one rather than a small one, just for the cameras. But if it's too hard, you put it in the microwave.
The clay, not the armature.
No. Do not put armature. And of course, once you put it on, make sure you don't then...
You cannot soften the clay on the armature once it's been done.
So when you're doing an animal, a good idea is to start with coils. So you just run it between your hands. We put that in for 3 minutes? That one? 4 minutes, 2 minutes. Be careful though, because there's oil inside it, and the oil will come out. It heats from the inside.
Discovered that.
Yeah.
So you're using basically the same method as what you're working with the water-based clay. You're just compressing it over with a coil.
Yep.
What about
it won't
coiling?
stick quite as well as the water-based, because it hasn't got the water. So it's a good idea to put it on both sides.
Would you
of
not
the armature
coil the? Can you coil the clay the same as you've coiled the wire? Like,
it's a trick question.
I was just wondering. I thought if you
wrap it round, you mean? I don't think so, because you won't get your straight lines.
Okay.
But you know, I like you trying whatever you try.
The only reason I discovered that was because I end up using a lot of clay.
So Jackie's asking if you can mix more than one type of clay, so you can mix soft with hard and medium.
Absolutely. And when you're doing your builder, which would be your builder, it's a great idea to start with. I don't know if I'd go I'd do soft in the winter, but in the summer I wouldn't, because it would move too much. So
so Jackie's saying, would you start with hard and then use soft, or would you do the other way around?
I'd do it the other way.
Soft.
So put it in the microwave. If we had anyone good here, we'd have that microwaved a little bit more, because you can feel that's hardened up quite quickly. Dive in and put that in.
Yeah,
but it's hardened quite quickly. So it just means when it's hard, it's a slower build-up. So if you're doing a build-up, put it in the microwave.
Put the clay in the microwave.
Put the clay in the microwave in a microwave-proof.
Or you can put it in under a paper towel. Put paper
towel. Yeah, but if the oil leaks, it's not so good. You know, because there is oil in there, and you'll see it. So yes, Jackie. The other thing is that once you're going into detail, so once you're forming muscles. Muscles are good to do it in a hard, at least a medium, but a hard clay, and you can mix them as much as you like.
So when you talked earlier about, I was saying, why wouldn't you coil? You're actually building up each piece by piece.
Yes.
It does take longer.
Yes.
Than, for instance, working with water-based clay.
It does. But in saying that, if you had heated that up, as you should have.
I'll just go to the kitchen. I'm not needed here.
I think that's where your husband says you belong, isn't it? The kitchen.
And other places.
Sorry about that, ladies. I don't believe that at all. But if we had softened it a bit more, because we had to do it before it would have been a lot quicker build-up.
And the opposite, if you want to harden clay, if you want to harden your piece because it's got too soft or because of the summer, it's quite a different properties again.
It is, yeah. So a good idea is to harden it. If you're going to do the detail and say you've used medium or soft, even hard to an extent, put your sculpture in the fridge, because the oil will become firm and much easier to do detail.
The other thing was we've used a hairdryer too when working on a piece too, when the clay does get hard and hard to.
So when you're actually building up your piece, put it in the microwave and use the microwave. If you're wanting to do detail, put it in the fridge. If you have already built it up like this, any of these, and you want to change the finish of it, use a hairdryer. So you spray it with a hairdryer and use it. You've got one. Just use normal hairdryer.
And so how would you do it? You just how close up? Just
so I'm just
a bit noisy. Yeah.
So you just hold it over and you'll immediately see that it goes smoother. Or it gives you a finish. I don't know if you can see that, but even just with the warmth of my hand, I can create a different texture. So this is much more the Degas type finish. But you can see with my hand, I don't know if you can see, but say I wanted to smooth this muscle.
But there are other ways you can create the different.
There's lots of
different
other ways,
finishes
which is so. This is one way we sell these, don't we? Then having a good laugh. Come on, Zen, share.
Your hand doesn't need to be finger there.
Yeah, we won't comment on that one. No.
In fact, I should have said don't share. So we have these. This is a. You can go directly dye. This is what Zen does. He goes directly on to the piece. I don't like doing that myself because I can't see. Turn it off. It's dangerous. No, it's not really, but it's scary. Also, you don't know quite how hot it is.
So you could burn your fingers.
You could. So I use a hairdryer for that. This is great for all sorts of things.
And what have we got? We've got the Bunsen burner.
We've got the Bunsen burner. And so what we do is if we're trying to do, say, his chest area or anything like that, and I want to cut underneath, I can heat the tool, the stainless steel tool. What? And that happens. Heat the stainless steel tool. I won't do that.
Don't do this at home.
And you look how smooth that will make it. Can you see that, guys?
So that the warm tool heats the clay.
So you can get all sorts of. So you can have the underneath. So for instance, his face, you have the underneath firm, which it is, but see how you can smooth that off? I don't know if you can see, guys.
Rotate it slightly.
I don't actually want this smooth, otherwise I want him. But I'm just showing you how it'll follow the shape of the tool, and it's actually not liquid, but it's really soft.
The oils come much closer to the surface. So while we're on something like that, it's because we've got 3 beautiful little cats and a dog. How do you create hair or fur, Shona? How do you? It's something that I think is quite a
fur. You block off a fur. Hair you block off. So. We it's one of those things that you think the hair is, just lines going down to show all the hair, but that's your mind creating that. So what you have to do is create the block of a hair, just like you do with your planes. You create planes.
Okay, so my hair, for instance,
yes,
the planes would be, it's a block, like my block of my hair, right?
Yeah.
Whereas your block would be smooth. Mine's straight and angular, whereas yours is more smooth and roundish.
So that's your head. And this is, it's probably easier to show you when we do portraiture. But
I'm just thinking in terms of people who are going to be creating an animal, they want to know how to do the finish, some of the finishes.
Oh, well, that's a different thing than, say, our hair. Now, I'm totally dirty. So, for instance, if I had, I'd love a little bit, thank you. There's a couple of ways, but Bojangles, for instance, is really just using a metal tool, and all you're doing is a thinnish metal tool. You can use a brush. I had
You've got a brush right here.
Oh, here? Yeah. No, but you can use something like this. Great. Which is just one of those sweeping brushes.
Yeah, it's like
especially with water-based clay, and always brush it though the same way as the hair goes. Same with your hair. So it's always, so you'd have to heat it up first before you can do that. It's just another textile. Paint brushes people use as well. For lily hair though, I didn't want hair showing, and normally this would be a lot warmer. Did I mention that?
You did mention that, but I don't know where the kitchen is. I don't know where the kitchen is.
You're funny there. So normally it's warmer, and I use my hand, and do you see how you?
So you're creating the movement of also, particularly of where the leg is, where the muscles are.
Well, really, it's more an angle, a flow. But you really need it hot for that. Can you see that? So there's more of a Degas finish, but it's like a flow. So, for instance, if we're going up, you're going to want it, the flow, either going up, so up here, You want it going up, because all you're doing is trying to accentuate.
So it's that
the
tightness
movement.
you want to get. That
Yeah.
we talked before about like that's the that's the
Now
movement.
see how that's not even smooth, but it's accentuating the movement. It doesn't have to be precise. It's an emotional.
So we talk. It's about
This is an emotional piece for me. So it's not about perfection. It's about movement.
So you don't need. You can't. There's no point trying to create a perfect piece because what one person thinks is perfect.
Yeah.
And so, what do we say?
What you're wanting to do is explore. Explore. What is it that you like? Do you like the more Degas type finish?
It's finding your own style.
It is.
How you want it to look.
And it's experimenting and saying, okay, well, I really love that. I'm not so keen on, the smooth finish. But whatever you do, always go with the muscles or with the hair or with the...
So the more you understand anatomy, the better. The more you look at it.
I suppose so. The more you look at it, you don't have to understand it. But you can see it just adds. And then again, go with the movement. So you're really wanting to accentuate.
The tail really reflects that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like that's how, and the
So
mood, it's
exactly.
ears,
Yeah.
its eyes, the tail. If it was just a standy-uppy.
And the face
Yep.
that is very very,
Just when they've done a
big stretch. And the other thing to smooth, if you want to smooth, is dissolve it. You could just grab that die.
grab
That's
the braid.
Yep. So dissolve it is really good because it won't interfere with the moulding process. So you can get this from Bunnings. It's citrus base, and so if you want to smooth something, you just squirt some on. So, okay, I'll use this lily. So I didn't particularly want her smooth, but if I do want to smooth her, can you?
Right, yes, you can see that.
Can you see that?
It smells quite like a citrus as well.
It does smell like citrus, but see how smooth you can actually make that.
So why would you make it smooth? It's just
some people
like that smooth look.
I do a lot of, actually I do females smooth.
Ah, right.
And generally, and I will do a male a little bit, more rougher. Doesn't have to be as, it's not like that, but yeah. But you can see it also gives another effect. And it's something that I love and I do quite often is I use something smooth. If I'm doing a body, I'll do something smooth with a really rough
base.
So like on a rock or something, so you've got that
juxtaposition.
Exactly.
Juxtaposition.
Yeah. Don't forget to turn this thing off.
It's my job to turn it off.
Oh, that was hot.
Assistant. So in terms of just like you're building up, we're not going to go through the whole process and show
Lily.
Build up like we did last week because I think we need to show the different stages that you can go. Start from with the armature, get the clay on, get the shape, the what do we call it? The pose.
The pose, yep.
As close to as what you want.
Yes.
You can move the wire once you've got the clay on anyway. You can do that.
With this you can. With that not so much.
Okay,
but certainly with this. You can, I think I was saying to, or Leanne was asking, so we could, for instance, join some armature wire to this, in which case we just use wrapping wire, add another piece of the bigger wire, which you had somewhere. Okay, so as an example, can you hold that for me? I'll just quickly show. So if we had this bigger wire,
can I put it down?
You can. If that leg was too short, as an example, you attach your.
So why
you do the tail? Because the leg sort of So I would attach the heavier wire about halfway down, so it's got some, and then I'd wrap it. Obviously, if it's too long, just cut it
off. Yeah, that's a gorgeous thing about it. So, and we showed how to make the feet.
All the way down.
We showed how to make the feet.
Yep.
So that it's sitting on something.
Yep. That was last week, but maybe just a quick review is. So there you've got, that would be normally the longer tail. Now it looks like a dragon or something.
It looks like a whatever.
So with the feet, if you want to have it stable, like your cat, or so it's not free flowing, you just grab the armature, bend the very bottom of the feet,
and turn it into a paw or a hoof or a paw or hoof.
Like so, and then you'd nail that onto a board.
You don't have to nail it onto a board.
No, you don't have to. No. But if the purpose is to have it
fixed,
you want to. Otherwise, you just keep it like that and build your hoof or whatever around.
And that's where it comes a good. If you've built a good armature, not amateur. If you've built a good armature, it will be stable.
Yeah.
And it's
although sometimes it's great to be able to pick up a piece. I mean, this one would have been a good one to have, nails in, because of the position of her. She falls over all the time, and I don't want to make her feet bigger or wider. So that one would have been perhaps a good one.
Okay, so I think we're coming to the end of the session around how to create an animal armature and how to work with oil-based clay. This clay is much easier to work with this type of piece that you're working on.
Yes. Yeah, no, this is easy. So I can come back in a year and finish this.
Some of us have been a little
longer. Exactly. So you can just put it away, put it on a shelf and go, I'm going to come back to that. So it's brilliant. And we'll show you as we go on. This will be a brush mould. So we'll show you what a brush mould is. As I said, probably, as you said, we'll do it in a different video setting. And this would be probably a pour mould.
Is it easier to mould from oil-based rather than water-based clay, or is there no difference?
Only better in the fact that there's really no difference. I mean, you can do it easily from either, but it's easier probably for the moulder to do it from oil-based because they don't have to worry it's out. And so quickly put the silicone on before it dries out, or that you have to be careful, especially if you're doing a hand or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to do a giveaway.
I think we are, the clay. So who is the lucky person this week?
Jackie Saunders for their question on if you can mix the clays.
Cool.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so are we going to give some clay, I think? So Jackie, we will send out.
We need her address.
Here.
Yeah.
A medium. Can you send your address, or just write it up and post it on our, or don't have to post it, message us, otherwise you're posting it on Facebook. And I think, Lynn, you need to, from last week, you won that tool. We don't have your address, so if you could send us your address so we could send it out to you, that would be great. I think that's it next week, Di.
Yeah. I cut her nails, like long nails, not good for...
We'll never clean nails.
But actually I've discovered having too long nails can be a problem.
It can be.
First world problems.
First world problem. So next week we are going to
talk about air-based.
And probably go a little bit more into
detail, how to create,
maybe, and probably just talk a little bit about the moulding process.
So lots to learn.
Anything else you guys want us to talk about? We're more than happy to include. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Please keep posting.
And we will have because I know there have been some questions about, will we do a figurative piece?
Yep.
And I
definitely.
think it seems to be a lot of interest in doing that as well.
Yeah, we'll do a figurative and we'll do a portrait. And that's when it's much easier for the camera to show,
more detail.
Eyes, nose,
ears.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thanks again.
Have a wonderful week sculpting. Thanks, guys.